welcome to today's video. In our last video, we talked about the between and not between operators, which were used together with the where operator in conjunction with the select statement to extract some form of data from our databases in terms of intervals. Today, what I want us to talk about is what we call the comparison operators, and there are a number of them. Already, I've been using one which is the equal to sign. So without talking much, I would like to move straight to Workbench and show you how these comparison operators work. Now here I am in Workbench. Before I start, I want to give you a surprise. There was one operator that I left out in my previous videos, which I would like to touch on, which is the null and not null. Say not null this way. These two are different. The null and not null operators. Sometimes you have a table out of a data set and it has numerous rows, maybe say like what we have in our employees table here. It's almost about 300,000. And you want to take a quick search into the rows and find out whether there is any form of blank spaces, because sometimes you need to ascertain this before you start keying in your queries to avoid some form of mistakes. And this is where these nulls and the not nulls come into play. Let me just show you how it works before we move on to the subject of the day. So if we have, say, before we start, let's instruct Workbench to use our funny fancy ink our funny fancy ink database. Got a spelling wrong. It's an A. Okay, good. So that has been instructed here. Now, let's select our employees table under this particular database. So we do a select everything from employees. Then we hit go. It's fetching about 300,024 rows. This is a very big table. Now we can't use, it's not ideal for us to be using this scroll bar here to look out for all these 300,000 and over rows to see whether there is any null values in them. What we can do is use the null and the not null operators. So here, if we want to check, say, on this first name column to see whether there is any missing entity in one of the rows, we just say select everything from employees where first name is null. Control B. So when we do this, we can hit the blitzer. So we find that from the output here, we find out that this particular table is a perfect table in terms of first name, because in the first name column, there is nothing which is null in this particular column. Let's just change this to it's not null. And by intuition, we should get back our 324 rows returned. So this is what we get, 324 rows, which is telling us, it's giving us an insight that on this particular first name column, the table is a perfect table. Now let's move on to what we are going to do for today. So we said we're talking about comparison operators. I put that in a comment form. Now, these comparison operators, they come in so many forms, and I've already been using one. For instance, from this same employees table under the funny fancy ink, we can say that, let me copy this. We can copy this and say that we want to select every employee whose first name is, say, Georgie. So we say where first name is equal to, and this is the particular comparison operator that we are talking about here. The equal to sign, that is the first one. And I've already been using it in my queries. So where first name is equal to, say, Georgie. I intentionally used the lowercase alphabets just to draw your attention to the fact that Workbench is not um it doesn't consider, it's not case specific. It doesn't consider whether it is you're writing your query with a small letter or a big letter. In as much as you are getting the queries right and you are getting your input right, everything is also going to come out. So let's key in this query and see. So what we have here is that we are using this equal to operator, which is a comparison operator, to look out for specifics. It directs us to exactly what we want and nothing more than that. The next one is the greater than sign. Let me put that in a comment too. That's the greater than sign. Now with this, I would like us to consider this salary table. So for instance, if we select everything from salaries, we see that salaries, it's still fetching. I think it's about 967,330. That's a very big table there. So we see that salaries contain an employee number column, salary, and from date, and also the to date. This greater than sign here can help us get values above a specific point. What do I mean? If we want to get all employees whose salaries are above, say, 70,000 in this salary table, because we can see that here we have people with even less than 70,000. What we are going to do is just to append this initial query with our where statement and say salary must be greater than 70,000. Let's Control B to clean it up. And this should also work. Yeah, so you see that there has been a difference here with the rows reducing to 307,449 instead of the 967,330. And when we look at this column, all the salaries we have here is more than 70,000. On the other hand, the next comparison operator is the less than sign, and that also does the opposite. It considers all values or all entities below a specific point which is indicated in our query, so that if we want to now know all salary takers, all employees whose salaries are lesser than 70,000. This is what's going to happen. Let's just copy this. Let me bring this table down a bit. When we just copy this, sorry, we can just copy this, sorry, and paste here and change this greater than to less than, and we are done. We execute this and we should get our figure. Uh, did I use, what am I getting? Did I use select everything less than 70,000? Have I executed it? Wait, just a minute. Execute. Yeah, this is the right thing. Yeah, so you see that, let me draw this table up a bit. We are getting the salary range, which are all lesser than 70,000. So now the next operator that we are going to talk about is the less than or equal to. And this one, we're going to use the same formula. The same query here. This less than or equal to is the type of operator which considers the point indicated and also all points below this point which has been indicated in our query. When you want to find all employees whose salaries are equal to 70,000 or below, this is what we are going to get. So it's select everything from our salaries where salary is less than, or we just add the equal to sign to this, or equal to this, and when we strike it, we are going to fetch, the table is going to tell us that, yeah, indeed. Let's scroll through whether there is anybody with 70,000 in this salary range. Let's see. It is a bit hard to find, but the rationale behind all we are doing is that whenever you use the less than or equal to sign, you are considering, I think you can see a number here, 69,859, which is so close to 7,000. Perhaps there is no round figure in this salary range, so we can leave that as that. The next one is the opposite of what we treated when we want to find salaries from a particular point and above. So here we want to consider salaries which are 70,000 and above. Here all we just have to do is to change this sign to a greater than sign. So we have select star from salaries where the salary is greater than or equal to 70,000, and we are done. Good. So that's what we are getting here. So you see that what we get here should never be less than 70,000. The last to consider is the not equal sign, which is the opposite of the first one. So using the equal to, let's go back to the equal to. When we use the equal to, we were talking about specifics. Now, when we want to use the not equal to, we don't want the database to contain anybody with, we don't want the table we want to extract to contain anybody with the name Georgie. You can use the equal to sign with the exclamation mark. This is the equal to comparison operator in Workbench, I mean SQL. It works. And when we do this, we don't expect to get anybody with the name Georgie in the table that we're going to retrieve. And this is what we have. When we take this off again and execute, we're going to get Georgie. Fortunately, we also have another sign that can replace this exclamation and equal to sign. That is the usage of both the inequality signs greater than and less than together. This sign also represents not equal to in SQL. So when we execute this, we expect to get the same thing that we got when we executed with the exclamation sign and the equal to sign together. So I think that will bring us to the end of today's video. What we actually tackled were the comparison operators, equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and the not equal signs. And these are all used in our syntaxes. For instance, with equal to for specifics, greater than is used for points. I mean, it's used when we want to extract data on intervals above the point indicated, whilst less than goes below the point indicated. And the equal to, greater than or equal to, includes both the point indicated and all points above it, whilst less than or equal to indicates the point selected and also all points below it, whilst the not equal to sign, which is the double inequality sign or the exclamation sign plus the equal to, I mean, ignores or excludes whatever we include in the query. So without much ado, I would like to say thank you very much for watching today's video, and we shall meet again some other time.